In this video, I will be reviewing the Binging with Babish cookbook by Andrew Ray. I'm sure you're all familiar with Andrew Ray and his YouTube channel Binging with Babish, but in case you aren't into the food YouTube scene, Binging with Babish is a YouTube channel that takes foods from TV shows, movies, anime, video games, and any form of pop culture and replicates them. He'll sometimes make terrible food for the sake of authenticity, or just try to make a delicious version of that food. He also has his Basics with Babish section, which is more of a toned down version of his show, and it's just to give pointers and tips about general cooking. People really love this guy. He's got a unique personality and has a background in film and editing, so his shots are well composed and his videos always come out very professional looking for just a small team. He's definitely the most popular food YouTuber on the platform right now, but I see Binging with Babish as more of an entertainer than a food teacher, and that view is realized in his cookbook. The theme of his cookbook is all about his show. It's all the recipes he's made in his YouTube channel and nothing else. It's a strange choice to make since it loses its timelessness, so just make more recipes and we'll probably forget about these recipes. They're not special enough to hold their own weight, and I'd rather just read the sources he used for his recipes, which I feel is really heavily influenced by the Food Lab by Kenji Lopez-Alt. Most of the recipes are in the order of his episode releases. Nothing is organized in categories, so it's disorienting going through the cookbook. There's also recipes that are included just because they were in a show, even if they're really terrible, like the candy spaghetti, or if they're insanely complicated, like the 5-pork burrito. The recipes tend to be lengthy, cluttered, and not well thought out. He will have a pizza recipe, but it won't start out telling you to make the dough. His shawarma marinade points to another page with 2 marinade recipes without giving a title on which marinade to use. The turkey recipe is jumping around all over the place. He's trying to do too much with a single description. The tapana recipe doesn't specify the beef shank. You have to read the prison gravy recipe to realize he's referring to that beef shank, even though he references beef shank in the tapana. It's really confusing, and I found myself lost so many times just reading through this book. There are only a few good recipes I wanted to try, like the breadsticks and the ketchup. The most I got out of this cookbook was extra information about Andrew's show, which was kind of fun, but not really something I was looking for in this cookbook. If you're a fan of the show and Andrew's personality, you'll probably enjoy the blurbs he gives about each recipe. But I actually found this book to be a little narcissistic. The section about his tattoos just felt more about, look at me, look how cool I am. It didn't add anything to the cooking experience. Coming from just reading The Art of Fermentation, Hot's personality is so humble and passionate, but Andrew just comes off as a little vain. I wish Andrew would write a cookbook just like the Food Lab, but from what he's learned from all his research cooking. I can tell from his recipes and his videos he cares about having the best method and execution for each recipe. There's good tips and tricks sprinkled throughout the book, like how in the Philly cheesesteak recipe, he's just freezing the meat before slicing it to get into thin strips. However, this book is just a mess. It's lacking any structure, and it's just really about his show. If he had section stuff up, like a bread section, a meat section, etc., give his depth and knowledge of each subject, include base recipes, then what you can do with that recipe, I think this would be a fantastic book. But for now, I really don't recommend this book if you aren't a fan of the show. If you are a fan of the show, you might get a little bit out of having the physical form of the recipes and hearing some extra information with the production of the recipes, but it never really goes too far in depth. It was a fun read, the photographs were nice, and the visual style of the book was pleasing, but I don't think I'll ever use any of these recipes. I'm giving this book a 3 out of 10.